Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominique Velger. I am joined by my colleague, Terrence Bazil. Say hi, Terrence.
Hi, everybody.
All right, welcome to Increase Your Cash Flow. So I just wanted to get things started. So I'm going to go off camera as well as Terrence so we can present this webinar to you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. All right, before we get started, I wanted to give you a quick little background about the credit union. So we're not for profit and we exist solely for you, our members. Wanted to also let you know if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to just jump on the Q&A and ask us questions. We'll, stop and answer your questions because we don't want you to have your questions go unanswered because it's a lot of information and we want to make sure that you understand the information fully. And sometimes you have that question, it comes right away. We want to answer it for you. So like I was saying, we basically exist for you, our members, and we try to do, save a lot of money for our members, giving good benefits, good rates, and we pass those benefits on to you. And we're just like a bank. So we have your credit cards, your checking and savings and loans. And then we can be accessible pretty much anywhere online, as well as our mobile banking. And we have several different branches that you can access. And that's really important to make sure that we service you. And also when you become a member, if you're affiliated with Harvard in any way, you're a member for life. And a lot of people in your family can become members as well. If you have children, if you have a spouse, your parents, etc., they too can become members of the credit union. And one of the things that we do as far as like saving you money, we do that in the form of a lot of different educational and ways, and that's through Thrive. It's our financial wellness program, and we do that with partnership with Green Path. So what Thrive does is it provides you a lot of different financial counseling, different blogs and workshops. You can do a lot of them right on the website, and you can access them through huecu.org/thrive. And I was talking about our different branches that we have. We opened one last Wednesday. It was really exciting. And if you're in the LMA area, it's at 435 Brookline Avenue. If you know where the Jocelyn Diabetes Center, it's right underneath it, near Beth Israel West Campus. So you can't miss us. So if you're in the area and you need to do some banking with us, stop on by. And also there's a referral bonus. So if you refer a member to our branch, you can get a little reward. So, that's another way to make some money and save some money as well. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to talk about different ways to increase your cash flow. We're going to help you talk about reducing your expenses, defer your expenses, and increase your income. That's going to be the theme for our webinar today. So one of the ways you can reduce and defer your expenses is really understanding how you're going to take that first step to increase your cash flow. And one of the things you need to do is really have a budget. And if you don't have a budget, you don't see it in writing, you don't know how your money is going out, where it's going, and what's being paid to. You want to make a list about all of your current expenses. And one of the things you can start doing is go through your credit card. See, what are you spending your money on? Is it just sort of incidental little things here and there? And then you start losing track of where the money is going. Because if you don't know where that money is going, you don't know what's happening, and then it becomes a chaotic mess. And then you can't really focus on a budget and really focus on what you're trying to save your money for. Are you trying to save your money for a vacation? You're trying to save it for a new house, a car, or just really savings in general. So in order to do that, the first step you want to take is to have a budget. And one of the ways you can start that budget is really having a budgeting tool. And we have a worksheet right on the website, and you can just do 3 financial goals that you have for the new year that's coming up, right? And it could be anything. You want to buy a new car, you want to buy a new house, You want to just save for a rainy day. So if those are your top 3 goals, you can write those down, your top 3 goals. You can do them right on the worksheet. And we provide this on the worksheet right on our website, just to have you give you that information so you can start tabulating and doing all of your subtractions and things. And you can see, okay, well, this is where I can cut here, I can cut there, and then I can start saving here and there, because you have everything in front of you. Because when you have just an idea in your mind about where the money is going and it's not really written in paper, it's not really true for you. It's not, it doesn't become a reality until you actually see it on paper.
Dominic, I would like to add a little something to that. Um,
Sure.
so beforehand, before I started budgeting and like really taking my time to write things down, I would just kind of spend and hope for the best, like you mentioned earlier. And the budgeting tool, sitting down with it, and like you said, writing it down has really kept me honest and accountable when it comes to that monthly budget. It's not fun, but I have heard from my peers and those who are much smarter than me to set aside something on my calendar, have a glass of wine or beer,
Not
and
too much wine.
oh, I mean, wine makes the numbers look better, in my opinion.
Especially when the reality bites, you go, oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Um, but taking that time to really sit down and do it, it's not fun, but making it fun with different ways to trick yourself into doing something fun will definitely help.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I agree with you on that one. And it doesn't have to take long, too. We could just be like, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Just make it a habit to kind of get a sense of, okay, what's happening with my money? Where is it going? I long time ago, when I first got out of college, I worked at a bank, and that really just conditioned me to always check down to the last penny. That's how I know if there's something off, if there's, just something weird going on. I can definitely look. I always look at my credit cards to see what's happening, because I was out of town one time and it said that I just got something charged on my account from a store that I wasn't even in, because I was at a restaurant eating, and it says you went to Crate and Barrel and you are charged $100 something. I'm like, wait a minute, at this restaurant. So because I have an alert and I'm very diligent about looking at my credit cards and what's happening, I was able to, flag that and definitely take care of that right away.
Awesome.
And you can also use that a budgeting tool. One of the things you can do is use our budget widget, and that also helps you to just see what's happening and just keep you updated on what's happening, and it just makes you more organized, basically. Would you agree, Terrence?
Oh, I would agree 100%. Some of the budgeting tools, I went to huecu.org on budgeting to find all the worksheets and the calculators. And it does get a little bit challenging, especially now with the holiday season with my budget, because I'm trying to plan for all the family members that I have so I can get them all gifts. Unfortunately, inflation is eating away at my income, but allowing having the budget allows me to plan, and it allows me to ensure that I'm able to give the best gifts that I can without breaking the bank and going into that holiday debt come January.
Yes. One of the things you can also do is defer or minimize your expenses. By deferring your expenses, the thing that we love to defer is our federal student loans. Now, if you do have a federal student loans, right now everything is pretty much okay because it's on pause, and until they figure out what's happening with all of these litigations that are going on, we're pretty much on pause for a good while, 0% interest rates. So because the interest rates are higher, I wouldn't, just do the loan all over again. Just leave it where it is. Some of the things you can also do is skip a pay. I know some auto loans that we have, you can pretty much skip 2 payments per loan, but you really need to talk to your financial person or a financial institution to help you work through that. And I know that, for example, like if you're a National Grid customer, they also help you find a budget way to kind of defer some of these payments if the payments become too overwhelming, or if you owe from the year before. So you can definitely work something out with them to kind of, skip a pay, and also just work within your budget to really not get bombarded by a lot of these bills. And I talked about refinancing. I wouldn't refinance your student loans right now. In some cases, it might be good to refinance. Like if, say you got an auto loan with Honda, for example, and they kind of have you and you think, oh my goodness, I just have to stick with them for the duration of the payment. Well, you can initially get that loan, but then you can refinance down the line to a better rate. Didn't you have
Dominique,
something like that happen to you?
oh man, where were you when I was younger? Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know. Now you know me, so now you can do better.
Seriously, I had that Honda payment at 10% for almost 2, 3 years. And I kept paying the money and I was paying my bills on time. Little did I know I
Wow.
could have refinanced, went to a credit union like Harvard University Employees Credit Union, and I would have gotten a lot lower, even not even Harvard, just any credit union, any bank, and just I should have shopped around to see what options I had to take advantage of so I could
Mhm.
increase my cash flow and still make those payments on time. Because I was making Honda rich by myself.
Well, you know what? We all do that. I mean, we didn't know. I mean, that happened to me when I got my first car. So by the second one, I was like, okay, I know I can do better. But they just kind of sucker you in, you know what I mean? And they use all of these different sales tactics to just like, okay, we got you.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Another thing you can also do is really strategize your spending. One of the things I do, especially when the gas prices were just ridiculous, if I was going to a particular part of town, I made sure I handle all of my errands in that part of town rather than go east, west, left, around the world and waste gas and just put more miles in my car. So really strategize how you're going to spend. And you talked about earlier, the holidays are coming up. Well, one of the strategies I've done is look, I cut down that list, right? I have, my mother is one of nine, okay? And then I have the cousins, and then they have the spouses, then they have the kids. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be about the kids. It's not about you. So really cutting out a lot of people on my list, because if you don't, by January, you're scratching your head going, what did I do? Oh my goodness. I think I overspent. So I cut down my list seriously because it gets to be too much and it's not worth it. And then there are some people who are not that grateful that you spent all that money and time on their gifts. I'm not saying to do that, but for me, that's what I've done, strategize my spending. And then researching, different ways that you can reduce your spending. And, just coupons are really good ways, using student discounts are really good ways, employee discounts that they have for your particular organization as well.
Oh yeah. I think you brought up a story one of the last times you did this presentation with your credit card and going on vacation to Hawaii for $20.
Shh, don't
I'm
tell
still upset about
nobody. Don't tell nobody. Well, because I use my miles, right? And being strategic about, like, for example, if you have a Capital One card or whatever, they may offer miles on a particular one. I think it's Venture one. They offer miles every time you put gas in your car, or they offer points. And I know I talked about going to Hawaii for really cheap because every single one of these airlines, they all have, and it's free. You sign up for the miles. So every time you're going somewhere, you make sure you put that information in there, and those miles build up. Make it work for you if you're using, a particular credit card, and just being very intentional about spending it. Obviously, pay it off, but those miles accumulate and they work in your favor. And when you're ready to use them, you use them.
great tips, Dominique. Amazing tips. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Still very jealous, but thank you for the tips.
That's okay. I'll take you with me one day.
All right. Speaking of tips, if everyone would like to, please use the Q&A function and share how do you save money. Please
All
let
right.
us all know. We're
And
all
I'll look
willing.
too.
Yeah. If please, by all means, we'll give it 1 or 2 minutes as the comments come in, and we'll just give it some time. In the meantime, I will talk about some of the tips that I have to share with you, and we can take it from there. So my partner's mother actually qualifies for a senior discount from National Grid. And what that means is she's able to take advantage of a lower rate of being charged for her energy costs. And It's very nice. Not everyone can qualify, but it is worth taking a look into to see how see what money you can save, honestly. And there's always some tips and tricks. I know Dominique mentioned earlier about using your student discount or your employer discount. There's also the potential to use what am I thinking of, Dominique? Students, employer, oh, even your city and state as well. There are
Yes.
multiple discounts that you can take advantage of.
Someone has a question in the Q&A. They say, I try to save either $50 or $100 each paycheck. Yes, that's very good. That's another way to do it. And it like automatically, automatic deduction into your savings is another good way as well.
I definitely do that too. I personally, I know I like to spend sometimes, especially on the weekends, right after Friday. I'm like, all right, let's go out, let's spend that money. So what I've set up myself to do is I'll have a certain portion of my paycheck be direct deposited into another institution that's about 30 to 45 minutes away from my house. I don't sign up for any of the online banking, no debit cards, nothing. So it kind of forces me, if I want to access that money, I have to get up on a Saturday morning and make it and drive that 30, 40 minutes and make it to that other bank before they close. 9 times out of 10, I stay in bed and I save money. I call it procrastination spending. You can take that. That's free to use. Everybody can use it.
Another one I do is once I'm done paying off a credit card, I put it in a Ziploc and I stick it in the freezer. Like you, I was like, oh goodness, who's gonna sit there and wait for it to thaw out? At that point, I was like, okay, I've changed my mind. I don't really need it. It's okay. So then
Oh,
the
yeah.
credit card stays in the freezer.
All right. It's been about 2 minutes. We've had some good discussions in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Ready, Dominique?
I'm ready. One of the things you can do is really you use some money mind tricks, right? Like we talked about, you set up some different ways, balance alerts. You can, for example, I have a credit card that tells me, okay, well, you're going over a little bit, or you've almost reached a certain amount. I get an alert for that just to keep me on track. You can also use separate accounts. Like one of the things I love to do is travel. So set up an account that's just directly for your saving for your travel. If you're thinking about buying a new car, you can set up an account earmark that's for your car. If you're trying to buy a house, you can earmark it for you're trying to buy a house. And we talked about this earlier, just the automatic savings, it goes there directly. I know I'm one of those people, if I physically have to do it, I always find a million and one things to do with that particular money. But if it doesn't come from my hands, it's done automatically. I don't have to think about it. And then even the best of plans, sometimes life happens and it just goes up by the wayside. But really think about adjusting your budget frequently, because what you were able to deposit, say in March, because you may have had a little bit more money, come November or December, because now you have to buy things for the holiday, you may not have as much, extra funds. So you want to adjust it accordingly. And then use cash as much as possible. That's something my mom always says to my sister and I, although we don't listen to her half the time. She's always right, but she used cash growing up and she always would put them in an envelope and she would write down what they were for. And once that cash was finished, that was it. And so that's another good little tip. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, really finding different discounts, such as using your student ID, finding out, for example, which retailer, especially now with the holidays coming up, which one takes student IDs and giving you discounts? I know, for example, Madewell, Ann Taylor, J. Crew, those they give student discounts. Just show them your ID as well. And again, reviewing your spending from time to time to be able to adjust it accordingly.
I definitely want to add something to the adjusting a budget frequently. Personally, for me, I know my budget over the summer months might be a little bit different than the winter months. The summertime, it's definitely a lot more gas. I'm traveling, I'm hiking, I'm outside, as opposed to now where it's a bit cooler. I'm inside, I'm not spending as much outside. And in particular, October. October is a big month for me because it's a huge birthday month between my partner, my friends, my family. So I'm really just kind of saving up for the first 9 months of the year. So that way I know once October hits, I'm going to just go nuts. I'm going to spend that money, but it's not going to hurt me and hurt my cash flow month to month because I prepared for it over the long term.
Good tips there, Terrence.
Thank you.
I had talked about Thrive. Well, we bring Thrive to you because courtesy of GreenPath. GreenPath, what's that? Well, they have a lot of different counselors and different experts. They have educational materials really to help support healthy financial habits. And it's, guess what? Free. Yes, I said it, free. We pay for it and we want you to have it. So you can go on huecu.org/greenpath and you can really call them at any time. They speak several different languages, I believe, 130, 150 different languages. And the best part about GreenPath is they have a database. So based on where you are across the country, they can provide those resources to you to get you started on your financial wellness.
Dominique, do I have to be a member of the credit union to have access to GreenPath?
No, you do not. No, you do not. So definitely reach out to them and just to get a sense of where you can get started because it's confusing. It's a lot of information and it can be overwhelming sometimes. So GreenPath is, I use them and I think they're a really good resource to have.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Okay, so refinancing existing debt. Let's take a breather. Let's kind of recheck where we're at right now and make sure that we're on track. So far, we talked about increasing cash flow, refinancing, minimizing expenses, budgeting, and finding new ways to track that cash flow. Sometimes refinancing existing debt may be one of the best courses to increase that cash flow. So, what is refinancing? And what are the benefits? Refinancing is taking that existing loan that you do have, whether it's an auto loan, a credit card, or whatever it is, even if it's a student loan, you're able to change the loan terms from what it was initially at whatever interest rate it was. Let's say it's 10% and reduce the interest rate because great things have happened, your credit score has gone up, or you're able to add on a huge lump sum to that principal payment and your monthly payments change. You're able to lower that interest rate, lower monthly payment, and increase your cash flow. Or if you are a little bit more tight, you can extend out those loan terms for a little bit longer, thus freeing up cash flow in the short term, but paying a little bit more interest in the long term. So some of the benefits of refinancing that I touched on earlier. You have that interest rate, for our example right here, a $10,000 loan with 200 payments for 60 months. Now, each of these examples will have some trade-offs and some pros and cons. Right now, let's say our interest rate is 7%. That's a $200 monthly payment with a total interest paid of $1,858 for 60 months. Now, if I'm tight on cash and my credit score increased from, let's say, 600 to 720 in the time I initially got the loan, I might be eligible to refinance. I didn't say right now because rates are super high and inflation is astronomical, but when rates do come down, it will be worth looking into to see if you can refinance. And if you do qualify, you might be able to qualify for a 5% interest rate, thus saving you $11 per month. A little bit, not too much, but every little bit helps, especially in that month-to-month increase in the cash flow. Now, let's say I don't want to keep the same terms for 60 months and I want to change it and keep the same monthly payment, but I want to save interest in the long term. I could refinance back down to a shorter term and pay less interest over the long term, which for me, paying that loan off faster, it's great. I'm still waiting to pay off my auto loan and I'm tacking on every little bit that I can because I want to own that car outright and drive it till the wheels fall off. So, some things to consider before refinancing. The interest rate. Be sure to compare different lenders, different financial institutions to see which rate is best for you and which one will provide you with the best and most favorable terms for your unique situation, whether it's fixed, variable, or hybrid, and some benefits. Federal student loans are some loans that have some perks and benefits built into the details of the loan. One of those benefits is what we're going through right now. We're able to have a pause on payments, which has been phenomenal. One of the risks associated with refinancing is you might lose out on that benefit because if it's no longer serviced by the federal student loan, you're not going to be eligible for some of the perks that they dish out. A credit score as well. Now, higher credit scores may mean lower interest rates. Not always, but in most times they do. And as time goes on, if you're making that payment on time every single month, your credit score should steadily increase, bringing you to a new bracket, qualifying you for better rates and better financing. Now,
Before you move on, I wanted to add something to that.
oh,
So
of course.
I had a friend who was literally chipping away at his credit card every single month, like paying 500 here, 300 there, chipping away, and really wasn't making a dent. So one of the things he did was he took out a personal loan, which was a lower interest rate, and because he's trying to buy a house, and all of a sudden, his credit score is rising because the monthly payment that he has to pay on this loan is less than $400 versus chipping away at the credit cards with their interest rate of 27, I think it was 27.5%, which was like, that's really high.
Ooh.
So that really increased his credit score. And then he had that extra money because he wasn't like 500 here, 300 there, paying at the different credit cards. And so that really helped increase his credit score. And he's now, in a better position to get a better rate on a loan for his journey to buy a house.
Phenomenal. All right. So now, as we are talking about increasing cash flow, credit cards, credit scores, the best way to keep updated and stay on top of the new information that's available in your credit report is annualcreditreport.com. That is the only place to have access to your credit report completely free of charge. You can have access to all three credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. They will tell you the lenders, who's reporting, and if you've made your payments on time. If there's anything that's not correct, that's the best place to start to say, hey, wait a minute. I've never actually been to Kohl's. I don't have a Kohl's card, never opened one, but it's on your credit report. By all means, call them up, see what's going on, see if you can get it cleared up. Because nobody wants to have false information on their credit report. And the best way to stay on top of that to ensure nothing has happened is annualcreditreport.com. Anything you want to add, Dominique?
Absolutely. I think it's really should become a habit to definitely check at least once a year. I try to check at the end of the year, see what's happening, if the information they have about me is current, because you just never know. I paid off a credit card years ago, and then I did a whole, let me check to see what's happening with my credit report. And they had it as me being delinquent, and I paid that off way years before. So it's really good to just sort of make it a habit to definitely check your credit report, because it impacts whether or not you'll get a good rate if you're trying to get a loan, whether you're trying to buy that car or a house.
Oh, yes. Also, I wanted to add one more thing. I forgot. If you're able to, I would space them out because you can get one free report from each bureau a year. So if you space it out, where you get one every 3 to 4 months, you can stay on top of it a little bit better. Like to get Experian in Q1 and wait 4 months, and then get Equifax and wait 4 months to get TransUnion. They should be similar, but they might have a little bit of a difference. But either way, as long as you're on top of it, that's what's best. Now, looking for lower rates. I know Dominique mentioned this before, and I've mentioned it as well. Shop around. Rates are always changing, and lenders are fighting for your business. So by all means, make them duke it out. Put the hands up and say, hey, who's going to take my loan today? Who's going to help me out? And that competition definitely helps. For example, personal loans, if you are planning for a vacation and you're not able to spend $20 to go to Hawaii, I'm one of those people. And you might say, you know what, this vacation needs to happen right now. I'm burnt out. I'm tired between school, work, life, and you don't have the cash. I'm not saying go out and take a loan, but a personal loan might increase your cash flow to allow you to go out there if it fits into your needs and your budget. There's also refinancing loans for mortgage refinancing. There's HELOCs. HELOCs are home equity line of credits that will allow you to tap into the equity in your home and give you some cash flow in the short term and allow you to give you some breathing room, if you will. There's auto refinancing, switching into that lower interest rate, which will help you free up some cash flow in the short term and pay off the loan faster in the long term. Student loan refinancing, we touched on, maybe not be the best thing to do, but definitely an option. Now, this is a pretty interesting option, debt consolidation loans, where if there are multiple credit cards in your possession and you try to make the minimum payment on each one of them, and it's really making things tight for you, I would consider a debt consolidation loan. We can take all those different credit cards, refinance them into one loan, which may have a lower interest rate than the credit cards would have separately, and make a plan and pay down. Let's say it's 2,000 for one card, 2,000 for another, that 1,000 for another card. Take all that, make it into a $5,000 personal loan and pay it off over 5 years. But have a plan, stick with it, and it will free up some cash flow in the short term as you pay off that reconsolidated loan. There's also credit card balance transfers, which will do something similar, but not the same thing. You'll be able to refinance the balance from one credit card at, say, a higher rate of 20% into a low introductory rate of 0% for 12 months. As long as you can pay it off within those 12 months, it is an option that is useful to free up some cash flow. Now, one of the big things that I want to ask everybody is using some household benefits. Dominique and I will talk about some of the ones that we have and we have used. And I would like to ask the chat, please use the Q&A function to talk about some household benefits and perks that you have used during this time of inflation to increase your cash flow, and share it with us. I'm always willing to learn. I love to learn. Please, I'm struggling financially. Let me know what's going on. What are some tips that I could use? Dominique, what do you have?
I use you can use some of your IDs, because of where we work, and people, give us discounts for that as well. We have the outings and innings. That's really good if you're trying to go, say, to a game, a baseball game, or go see a play, ice skating. Those are really good things to have. My alma mater also offers insurance for your car, and that's another thing you can do to just kind of save money, as opposed to if I went just blind and I just went, okay, I want insurance at X, Y, and Z insurance carrier. They wouldn't give me that discount, but because I'm attached to my alma mater, I can get that discount. So that's another good way. And then your phone carrier, they have different services. You can use those discounts as well to help you save some money, because every little bit counts. That's extra money in your pocket.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm definitely using outings and innings, courtesy of Harvard University, to purchase some tickets to different events going on over the next couple of months to give as Christmas gifts. No one knows I got them at a discount, but it definitely will help my wallet, and it'll be a great gift to give. That's just one example of one of the ways that you can save money during this holiday season using, like Dominic said, alma mater, your employer, phone carriers to your state. City of Boston is always doing something fun, something free, and if you're able to take advantage, by all means.
Absolutely.
Now, we've talked about reducing expenses, minimizing expenses, refinancing, and different ways to just cut back on costs. And if unfortunately, if that's not giving you the cash flow and the wiggle room that you are looking for, one of the ways that you can attain that is increasing your income. Now, increasing your income may not be for everyone, but there's a few different ways to do it. You can monetize a talent, you can monetize a hobby. For example, on Etsy, if you're crafty, you go with your hands, maybe you make jewelry out of something, sell on Etsy, and that can be a new stream of income for you, especially now in the holiday season. A lot of places are hiring seasonal help. And seasonal help sometimes just on the weekends, 1, 2 days per week. You're able to put in a couple hours, a couple $100 in your pocket could help you from putting yourself into that holiday season debt.
And if you're good at, you have a talent, like you're good at doing hair, for example, you're good at doing makeup, and you're a really good writer, you can help people, correct their term papers, or, look at their resume, review, and then charge a particular fee. And that's extra income for you to purchase those gifts that you want to buy for the holiday. And you talked about the fact that, people are hiring seasonal workers. And because a lot of the stores are open later on in the evening, you can also not just work on the weekends, you can work on the evenings after you have your regular 9 to 5. That's extra money that you have that's just going to be allocated, for example, just for those holiday gifts, so you're not in debt comes January.
Oh, yes. And we actually do have a question from the chat. Someone's asking, I'm curious if one of those alternative phone carriers is safe, smart, or not. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, what does it, you mean alternative as opposed to the regular big name ones? Is that why I'm supposed to is that what you mean?
I think this person is possibly asking like Cricket, for example, or like Simple Mobile, some not one of the big name ones, one of the smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Personally, I can speak to my experience. I've used a couple of the smaller name brand ones. The service is not always the best. However, I would do some research. I would definitely say it's worth looking into to see if you can reduce your expense that way, because it's not a bad option.
Yes, I
Any
have a cousin who used Metro credit union, not credit union, Metro services for her
yes,
phone. She used it for a long time and had no complaints, and I believe now it's part of T-Mobile.
hmm definitely. And also to increase your income, maybe it's worth pursuing a certificate or a degree. I know a lot of places online, such as HubSpot, Coursera. You're able to get different certificates free, honestly, and sometimes they equate to an increase in your salary. So new way, learn something new, learn a new skill, maybe pick up coding over the holiday break and see if that'll equal some extra income.
And also check with your employer to see if they'll pay for it. If they do charge a fee, maybe you guys can work in tandem to see, you pay a certain amount, they pay a certain amount to, really learn that new skill.
Now, we've touched on a lot today, and I hope everyone that has attended feels like they've gained some knowledge and we were able to answer their questions. Please, as we're winding down, please, 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 by all means, ask us questions while you have us. We love to answer questions and we love to give you guys and everyone attending the most information possible. If we did not, please visit our blog at blog.hcu.org. HUECU, and you can touch on more information. We can learn about all the different financial concepts and products and different news articles that we write. We post 3 times per week. We love posting. We want to engage our membership. Again, that's blog.huecu.org. And our survey. Please take our survey after the end of this presentation so that way we know what we're doing well, where we could improve, and how we can best serve you. We are always reading them. We read every single comment on the survey. Please, by all means, take our survey. And as a full disclaimer, this presentation is just educational only. We are not investment advisors. If you're looking for specific financial advice about your specific situations, please reach out to a certified financial advisor. And let's keep it.
So it looks like, apologies, it looks like we had a little bit of technical difficulty at the end, but just want to thank everyone for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. And it is wild to say, but I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving already happening next week. And everyone is welcome to attend any of our future webinars. You can learn more about them on our website, huecu.org/thrive. Thank you, everyone, and hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.